I always said that there was a certain current year element out there that were nothing but craven bloodsuckers, but I swear I never thought they'd take it this seriously. I mean, really, here's a description of the play that we'll be looking at in just a few minutes. This says that this is a smart and disquieting feminist revenge fantasy where you have someone driving a stake through the heart of toxic masculinity. Yeah, sounds like a fun show, doesn't it? So hey there. So today we are returning to that wonderful world of laugh tracks. And this is the best laugh track I've had in quite some time. So what we're talking about here today are not one, but two plays. That's right, two. Dracula and Frankenstein getting a makeover into current year. Now, the funniest thing about this concept, the feminist Dracula, the being woke concept added on, this isn't the first time. BBC decided they would get involved in this in 2019, talking about how Van Helsing needed to be gender swapped, how Dracula needed descriptors on his quote-unquote wives. It was something else to behold. Now, as far as the BBC's concerned, the director at least wanted this to make sense. He said that he first wanted to move away from Dracula's traditional collection of beautiful women. You know those women that are highlighted in, say, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula with the 3 concubines. He says, well, he's got broad taste, this Dracula. It's not just a collection of 60s women with push-up bras this time. Because he's going out and he's picking up the Renfields as well. And you better believe that's exactly how that was showcased. That Renfield was one of his quote-unquote brides. Now, the director further engages this idea by telling you that Dracula sees mortals as food with little difference between the sexes. Dracula has never discriminated insofar as he can tell the difference between the sexes. He goes for his food, but also people who interest him. The director expands further, saying that his view on Dracula is nothing new as he points to 1958's Dracula starring Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, saying this goes right the way back. There's a moment at the end of the Hammer film with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing where he bites him, and it is very, very, you see the descriptor there, for its time. Now, not to be outdone by this, the Mary Sue decides to get in on the action, saying, why, yes, you can stage a feminist Dracula production in 2020. Now, as I said before, this revolves around not one, but two plays that are going on right now. They're sponsored by a company called ClassicStage.org. The first, their Dracula, is described as both terrifying and riotous, with Kate Hamill's Dracula confronting the ism of Bram Stoker's original work and subjugates it as a smart and disquieting feminist revenge fantasy. Kate's signature style and postmodern wit upends the familiar tale of Victorian vampires and drives a stake through the heart of toxic masculinity. Whoa, man. Cue the drums, please. So runtime on this, 2 freaking hours of setting through that, and of course, you need to please note that this has strobe-like lightning effects and haze, so if you don't pass out from boredom, it may actually put you down because you might have some kind of a fit. Now, this is from the website for ClassicStage.org. I mean, this is one of their advertising banners. A Dracula for the age of, wait a minute, you see that hashtag there? What are they trying to tell me in that? I mean, are we going to blame Dracula for doing something terrible? Is that what they have scrolled across the floor here? Basically, his naughty list? Can't have any more shows. You're canceled, buddy. You are canceled. The audience, though, it cheered heartily. Oh, yeah, I bet they did, especially when it ended. Now, if you say to yourself, that umbrella guy, I need some pictures before we move forward, well, you are absolutely in luck. I mean, here, for example, apparently we get Michonne from The Walking Dead attacking some random dude in all white. He's probably the embodiment of toxic masculinity with giant Crayolas. I mean, those, they cannot be stakes. Here, I'm going to guess, is Renfield, going and saying, don't you dare mansplain anything to me, doctor. I may be crazy, but I ain't current year crazy. Then we get yet another picture, again, of a slender Colonel Sanders, because know that this guy has to be the embodiment of evil. I mean, after all, look at all of that white. Look at those gorgeous socks, too. And look at what he did to those so stunning, so brave gowns. By the way, when you're thinking about Mina here, you know one thing that you might have not noticed? She's absolutely pregnant. That's why we got to work that into it, too, because you can't keep a good woman down. Not in this play. Now, here we have an absolutely stunning rendition of Renfield, once again making up a naughty list for Santa. And since this is a feminist production, I'm wondering exactly what they're using for marker. I mean, I don't see a pen laying around. I see a lot of red and a cup. So you decide what's there. Now, in this picture, we have toxic masculinity personified, where I'm going to say this guy is actually Jonathan Harker, runs into two of the concubines in the smallest bed known to man. I mean, really, come on, Dracula, can't you step up your game? This picture, I'm not even sure I want to know what's going on. I mean, I looked at this. I looked at that facial expression. I know that there's a pregnancy involved. Oh, man, I don't want to know what's in the sack, what kind of bundle of joy that is. We've already seen enough things in the sack, as it were. Now, this last picture I want to look at before we talk about the play itself. I wonder what is going on here. I mean, I see that this person isn't Michonne from The Walking Dead. No, we're talking about Van Helsing, and I understand what's supposed to be going on in the picture. However, I don't understand what's going on with her face there. I mean, you see the 3 lines on her face. You can see that stuff. Why is one running down the side of her face? I mean, it isn't a tattoo. It isn't scars. Is it supposed to be hair? I'm not exactly sure what that is. Now, the first thing that we learn from the Mary Sue about this is that there are a lot of female power moments in it. And most of those moments, they come from Mina and Van Helsing. Now, in this production, Van Helsing is played by Jessica Dukes. And throughout the play, she is constantly telling Mina to stand up for herself. Now, Mina, because she is pregnant, is told that she can't do much in her state. But apparently, Mina, she decides to throw herself in the front lines because, hey, female empowerment. Now, I have to say that I absolutely adore that message. Oh, I know that you're pregnant, Mina. I know that these mean old men are telling you to stay off the front lines, and I know we're dealing with an undead monster. But you go, girl, because you're so stunning, you're so brave. Jazz hands, you know, because we can't clap. Now, because the play is set in 1897, they continue, women are seen as less than their male counterparts. Throughout the show, Jonathan Harker and Dr. Seward continually discount the women around them in order to come off as quote-unquote strong men. And what's so brilliant is that the women continue to fight back. My God, this sounds absolutely miserable. Basically, it's going to be like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. More often than not, they go on, when men are overbearing or feel as if they know more, we see female characters either ignore them or find out they're right in a roundabout way. But with Dracula, it's Mina and Van Helsing who lead the charge in taking down the Count himself. Mina is the one who willingly throws herself in the line of fire to stop him. What an absolutely stunning message. Again, we're talking about a pregnant female going out and getting gotcha points, putting those men in place by throwing herself into the line of fire against an undead monster. Like I said before, jazz hands. I mean extra jazz hands. They finish this off by telling us using imagery like Dracula's wives shouting victim-blaming language at the human women. The show is just a constant commentary on the female experience and how we go through each day. That sounds absolutely terrible. I swear I would chew my arm off to get out of this production. Sure, there are themes that a performance of Dracula can't really hit on, but going into it and thinking that it was going to be a cut and dry version of the story I'd already knew extremely well was quite a departure. More often than not, we're focused on Dracula himself. And wait for this here. And while this production gives us the hot Dracula vibes we're aiming for, it is definitely more focused on the women of Dracula and how they're taking a stand against his toxic masculinity. So remember, Dracula is toxic, but man, isn't he a hunk? Isn't he a beefcake? It does also say F fragile masculinity, and that's the kind of energy I need for 2020. So stunning, so brave. Jazz hands. This is why these folks cause movies to fail all the time, why they cause so many things to collapse, because this is how they're entertained. They're not entertained by escapism. They're entertained by there being a message. And that message, it has to be a bludgeon, and it has to say, oh, look at those people over there. Yeah, let's put them in their place. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that neat? Anyway, you tell me what you think. Now, ending this very briefly, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. I don't want to monopolize it either. I just want to thank you because most people, they don't do that. If you like this content, you want to help out the channel, consider subscribing and sharing videos. But you just being here, that's enough. So again, thank you. I don't want to monopolize any of your time. I just want you to feel welcome here, and we'll be doing this stuff again soon. Thank you.